All right, we are live again with Doug Thompson today.
How you doing, Carlo?
Good, man. Good. How are you?
I am well, thank you.
Man, you look happy and healthy. I love it. You got a better camera than I do.
Well, you know, I have a special lens on it.
Where you buy them. So hey, Doug, before we dive into me questioning you, just wanted to share something. You know, like I joined LinkedIn like many years ago, but I didn't start being active on LinkedIn and paying attention to what was going on in the platform. And my experience, you know, the platforms, it's been always the same. So you pin down really quick, like some people that are actually doing things differently. You can see the people that are going to stay there for the long run. And you're one of these people that I think I got in touch with you really early when I started working on LinkedIn. I'm like, I like that guy. And you actually jump on a quick call, and then you did a video introducing me to your audience. I'm like, wow, this is the kind of stuff that I like. So thanks for that, man. And I'm so happy to have you here.
Hey, well, the same can be said. You had me on here, you know, without that, and I appreciate your compliments on that. I just try to be me. I had a coach of mine telling me last night that I look comfortable in front of the camera, which is, you know, that helps come across. That helps get your genuine, hopefully, other than the lens about making me look healthier and happier. But you know, I truly like to share great people that I meet, because other people should meet them as well. And you were one of those. I mean, we hit it off. You came on. I liked what you said, your approach and all, and your story behind that. You always like people with a great story, and you know that's what, you know, it was great. I mean, so you have these chemistries. It's, you know, when we used to be able to go outside, you used to be able to meet people, and you could tell, right away that, you know, if you were going to hit it off or not. There was that vibe, and you had that vibe. I mean, if it comes across in a text-based communication, and then it's confirmed with a video thing where we talk, then it's, you know, that to me, that's as close as we get to actually meeting in person. And one day I'll get to Spain, or you can get to Austin, and you know, we'll validate that for real.
You bet, mate. You bet. In real life, I'm a very boring person. I put everything on the camera.
Yeah, in real life, I'm not wearing pants, but you know, that's a whole story.
You can have a very boring party in Spain eating boring paella. All good. So okay, so let's dive into it. Look, I've got like 4 questions as I usually have. I ask them in very different ways every time. So it's like, that's everything. Every time is different. So let's do it. Like, who is Doug Thompson?
Oh, he's a very complicated person. Well, you know, in my core, I am what you see on the screen. You know, that's the best compliment that I got when I go out and I meet customers, and I meet people in real life or something that have seen my videos, and maybe we haven't engaged this. You know, you're just like who you are on camera, and you know, on LinkedIn or wherever it's at. And I'm thankful that it comes across. So I said, look, if somebody, and I show up differently, then call the police, because I've been kidnapped and this is a clone. So, you know, it's I am me. What you see, I want to help other people. You know, I've had a very fortunate life, and you know, I've made some good choices. I made some bad choices. I'll learn from them, but I've, you know, grown to a point now where it's really time to sort of give back more than I have in the past. And that's, you know, that's sort of me. And somewhat, you know, if there was a comedian once that said, you know, when old people are just trying to buy their way into heaven. So maybe that's true too.
Well, see, yeah, like that's a great compliment, the one that they gave you on LinkedIn. I've been talking with a lot of people that you see them on the profile, and you create yourself like an idea of this person. And I remember this guy. He was really sharp, really, you know, well groomed. So we jump on a call, and then there's like hair was all over the place. He looked more like a homeless hippie person. Like, there's nothing wrong with it, right? But I was expecting this sharp guy in a suit, and then this guy with flip-flops and a sweater. I'm like, hi. let me check the profile again.
How'd that make you feel, though? I mean, how'd you make it feel when that happened?
Man, it's like I'm talking to someone else. It takes me a while to come back to understand that I'm talking to the same person. It's
Right.
kind of shocking. It's shocking.
Yeah, and the reason I asked that is Jay Andrews, who I think you may have met before. If not, I need to introduce you. He was a guest on my podcast that I just released, and we talked about the showing up as who you are. Says there was a time back in the 80s or 90s, back before all the video and everything else that came about, social media, that you could be that person. You could be somebody different in business, and then different on the other side. And that today, that doesn't just like I said, it sets you back. It's like, what, this doesn't jive. Your brain sort of fights with itself of, who am I doing? So I never want to be that person.
Yeah, good point. Good. Well, today the thing is that you can be whoever you want on social media as well, but you need to remember that social media, it's not like real life, and you gotta show up at some point, right?
Yeah.
So you better make it match.
And then, it's my life. Everybody's life on Facebook is always glamorous. You never see the bad things that goes on. So
yeah, you can't trust. Well, that's good and bad, because everyone's showing the good stuff, but the ones that decide to be authentic and show the real thing, you can see it. And then it's when you get these kind of comments, like, oh, wow, you look the same. You're the same person here than online. Then it means that you're doing something good. Definitely. Awesome. So what is something, the most important thing that you're working at the moment, the thing that inspires you? What project?
It goes along with the sort of the giving back piece. I have my day job. I do stuff at Microsoft. I work with my customers and spend 100% of my energy there. And then, but more importantly, I'm trying to. So the whole thing about Tech Story and my podcast and all that is I'm in technical sales. I'm a sales nerd. I've been in that career all my life, and I sort of realized, 5 or 6 years ago, that the skills that I have are somewhat unique in that I live in this world between I understand the technology and I can speak that language, but I also can go talk to business owner, C-suite and understand the business needs and all that, and then be able to use storytelling to convey the value to the buyer. There was a time in IT where you sold to fellow nerds, so the discussion was speeds and feeds, how many IOPS, how many of these other things. Half the audience just went to look what IOPS meant, but it's sort of you had that language and you could talk the same thing. But now a lot of the business decisions and a lot of the purchases are coming from people like marketing or customer support or things like that, where they don't necessarily understand the technology and frankly don't want to. They just want something that solves their problem. And so the ability to go in and say, understand what their problem is, understand where they are, and being able to frame the discussion of how technology, don't get into the technology, but how technology can solve that problem and, add a little something to it. That's a skill that I have that I sort of developed over time as unintentional, but it's just simply, I always like stories and could relate to people. So my goal is to give fellow nerds that voice, the ability to tell a story like that to really unlock their potential. Because I talk to a lot of brilliant people all the time, and I ask them, like, what's really cool about this, and they get into, I call it tech explaining. They get into the speed, and they're like, oh, no. What really, to me, if I wanted to buy this, who's your customer? Why is this important? Why is this going to change my life and impact it? And they struggle with that. Mm-hmm. So the whole purpose of Tech Story is try to teach this storytelling and how to think in stories and things like that. I did, that to me, that's what I'm working on, honing those skills and trying to get that message out and do that.
Yeah, that's powerful. Like storytelling, like to me, it's something relatively new because by all the time that I was in corporate, I think there's a disconnection between what really happens in life, including social media, and what happens in corporate, right? Yeah. For years, we've understood in corporate that everything related to internet is a distraction. Employees need to be away, and they ban them from being on social media and stuff. And since I'm only on social media, I still have a life outside social media. But I learned so many things because I got in touch with people like yourself, people who are doing great things in the world, and it's opened up I've been in sales my entire life as well, but I feel like all the years that I was in corporate, I knew nothing compared to what I know today. and I know that I know nothing compared to people who actually do that for a living. So anyway, it's good to be open-minded, and it's good to know about what you do, because corporate needs it.
Yeah, it's you can't, it'll get out, right? So either spending on it's not a time, it's using it to your advantage is the best thing. And part of the things that I do, especially on LinkedIn, when I'm going to go meet somebody or I talk to somebody, I try to learn something about them. So I look at their profile, I check and see what they're doing, what do they like, what they don't like. And because that then gives me a frame of mind of where I need to start a story. Because in storytelling, it's important to start where your audience is. What's their frame of reference? What's the other thing? Like if I'm doing a presentation in front of a bunch of accountants, I don't want to start talking about social media and these other things, right? I need to start talking in the frame of mind of where they live.
Yeah.
Because and I'm the same way. If somebody starts talking to me about something I have no interest in, no frame of reference, then I tend to check out. Yeah. So it's somewhat of the golden rule. I try to treat my audience, be it a customer, be it at a speaking gig or something, like I would want to be treated. I would want them to sort of know a little bit about me, get to know, and it's just human nature. Some people would call it sort of gaming the system, but it's not. It's actually getting to know where people are and having that conversation. And because we all want to sort of know what's in it for us, and we want that warm fuzzy when we're talking to somebody that, hey, yeah, you get us. And that's what I got from you when we chatted. I could, I had an inkling of it when you sent the message. I said, I like that. But then when we chatted, I said, yeah, this confirms that we we're on the same page. We're, you came to me, started with me, then told your story, which then brought me to where you were, which is a great way to do it.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I was talking to someone the other day, and he's reached out to me on LinkedIn with a pitch, right? Like not even hello, like boom. And I'm like, delete. Dude, I said, hey, like I can look. Thanks for the effort. I appreciate it. I can teach you a way to get better results without pitching anything.
Yeah.
You should prove that to me. I'm like, no, I don't have to prove anything to you. If you had interest in me, you would have found out in my profile. It's everything there. Yeah. How can you do that without pitching anything? And so, well, it's like when you need gas for petrol for your car. Do you wait until someone comes to you and sells you the best product, or do you go and buy what you need?
Yeah.
Same thing. Same thing.
Good analogy.
He didn't get it. I ended up plugging him.
Yeah, that's the thing. If the first thing I do from a connection request is a pitch to something, and I was like, we're disconnecting and going on because you obviously don't get me. This is and so yeah, but you're right.
Totally. So okay, so this is what would you like your impact when you're gone? Your impact in the world. What would you like to be remembered for?
So it's sort of funny because I had I'm going to back up and tell a little story that happened a few weeks ago. Is that my I took a week off. I have two daughters. One of them lives about 5 hours from here, and she has 6 kids, and they were a victim of some of the floods that were in the Houston area the last couple of years, and they were sort of out of their house, and they were getting close to being able to get back in. They'd been living in a rental place, and then actually the last few weeks they've been living in a trailer on the property, and that's 8 people in a 30-foot trailer. I mean, that's some density there. Wow. And I went over there to sort of help do some carpentries to finish out some of the floors and do some other things so they could get back into the house. And the day before I left, my best friend's father had died, and he was actually like a second father to me. My father died when I was in high school, and he took over sort of that role for me as that figure. And he taught me. That was my first job. I went to work, and he only had a lumber yard, but he also did some carpentry and building and stuff. So I helped him build his house, and then I helped him build my friend's house. I mean, I helped build 3 or 4 different houses through my college years, and I picked up a lot of good skills and stuff, which has served me well over my life and saved me thousands of dollars because I could do some things myself. And I was over there, and he passed, and the funeral was that weekend. So it was great that I was actually going to get to be over there to do that. And I was sort of thinking about sort of how the way life works out, because otherwise it may have been a challenge for me to get over there with COVID and everything else going on. But I But because I was going to be over there already, I had that opportunity to do that. And as I was doing the work at my daughter's house, it occurred to me that I was using skills that this man had taught me during that. And then I had the opportunity to speak at his service. And that was, that was the thing that came up. I said, and I listened to everybody else that was talking, and he did this for a lot of people. And it was just simply, there were some useful things that positively not only impacted my life, but impacted others around that I was able to use them with. So when I want to have that same type thing is that Doug made people's lives better. And not only that, he gave them the tools to go and make other people's lives better. And I'm a Harry Potter fan, so I call it like making living Horcruxes, where I put a bit of my soul into the things that I do into other people, and hopefully like you. And then in return, I hope that you then go carry that forward and do that. So in essence, I would live forever, not from a name perspective or these other things, but the efforts and the things that I did would help live and make a better place.
I love it. I love this. I love how you put it. Oh, yeah. I mean, that's great. And it's you can live forever. Man, you just gave me like a couple of good ideas.
Let's see that was working. I put a Horcrux on you, and you can go forth and go on and do
it. It's working. Yeah, that's great. Like, look, this morning I had, because my clients are all over the world, and sometimes I get lucky and I get good messages in the morning, like thanking me for something. Sometimes I wake up in the morning and there's like someone complaining about something. But today I got lucky, and I had this client of mine, and she hasn't been my client for the last 6 months. And she texts me and she's like, Carlos, I just wanted to reconnect. I mean, I've come back to run my business, and I've implemented the things that you taught me. Like, that was like last year, and I made like $8,000 in my first week in business. I'm like, wow, you should write me a testimonial. That's but I was thinking, no, because you sometimes you help someone, or you do something for someone, or you just do something without, and then you don't know how far this is going to go. And if this person shares it with someone else, like the potential, it's a ripple effect. We were talking about that last week. And like the theory says that if you do it well, you could live forever.
Yeah.
Good point. I'm an engineer, so I understand numbers. Great one. So look, I think you already given here like a lot of advice, but if you were to choose one only piece of advice for your audience and for our audience of Unstoppables, what would it be? Your golden nugget.
Yeah. So don't listen to that voice inside your head, inside you, telling you you're not enough or you can't do things. And I did a TED talk sort of on this, and the funny thing about my TED story is, I wanted to have this as a bucket list item. Any speaker wants to sort of do these things, and okay, fine, I'll apply. And they accepted my apology, my application. And I said, holy crap, now I actually have to write it and do it. So I was struggling with that, and inside I still had this nagging voice inside my head that, you really shouldn't do this. You're not capable. You've got nothing to prove back to do that. And I call him my inner bully, and I call him Simon. So I gave him a name, and I was listening, I said, wait a minute, I'm not the only person that struggles with this. And because I talk to other people, and when I'm trying to help them improve it, they say, well, I'm horrible at public speaking. I said, no, let's work through that. So don't listen to that. Punch it in the face, put it in the corner, or as my friend Jay Andrews said, put it in a timeout. It's like a little child, and don't come back out until you can behave like a human. But it's our subconscious just working. Don't listen to that. Spend some time. You can do things. And to quote Henry Ford, whether you think you can or you can't, you're right. So it's all about how you think about things.
Yeah, I love that. And look, this is one of the things that motivates me to trying to inspire people to help them understand, see a different paradigm, a different reality. Because when you expand, when you make your reality bigger, when you learn that what's possible, and you start believing that you can, and then you do it. So I would go one step further, if you let me, and I would like to ask, because one of the things I'm aware of these little boys, and if I'm aware of these little boys, I can make it shut down. But what if, and this is something that I always struggled myself with, what if you don't know these little boys, or you don't, because you don't know what you don't know, right? So what happens to my vision, or my perception is, I don't know how to build a 7-figure business. So what I personally do is I surround myself by people who are running 7-figure businesses, and then I will learn and see, and my reality will expand. But I don't. It gets to the point that you start believing that you can as well. But up until this point, it wasn't an active voice telling you you cannot. It was just, it was the idea what didn't even exist.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. So
yeah, I mean, the thing is that's your subconscious working on you, and it works 24/7, 365, 366 in a leap year. You know, and it's the, you know, as I was sitting, it was an aha moment that sort of, because I've had this, and it still comes back to visit me, but I recognize it a lot earlier now. You can sort of recognize the patterns, or where you start not feeling just right, or you're doing, you know, so it's all about how do you make that visible, you know, and you said, you know, you're unaware of it until you got in and you realize, hey, I have this voice. And, you know, it takes some reflection, and just ask yourself questions sometimes when you doubt yourself. And this is something to help recognize this is, okay, prove that, you know, why am I not worth it? Why can't I do this? And usually the voice can't answer. It comes up with, hey, well, you know, because this person didn't do it, or something else. But if you question it and you cause it to pause, that's the gap that says, oh, now I recognize it. Now you've come, you know, now you've taken your costume off, and, you know, your cloak of invisibility, and I see you now. Right. So it's just becoming aware of it, and taking the first step of thinking you may have it is the first step in trying to be able to find it.
Yeah, definitely. Yes. I always say something similar. This is when the moment that you realize that you lost is the moment that you realize that you're on the right track.
Yeah.
Because once you know you lost, you're finding the way. Great advice. Thanks, Doug. I only have one last question for you. And this, I'm really interested to know what's the answer. Like, tell us, what is the most useless talent that you have? It needs to be completely useless.
Yeah. Well, it's sort of hard because at times I use it, but it's I remember movie quotes from like when I was 12. So I can, you know, a situation will come up and I'll think of this obscure quote from a movie I saw when I was 16, and it drives my daughter and my family nuts, and my friends. What do you know? It's like I don't know. I can remember these things. It helps me out sometimes. You know, I've tried to do it in presentations and stuff, but sometimes they're too obscure and nobody gets it. You know, I'm laughing like crazy, but, you know, they don't get it. So it's that random stuff. You know, I can't remember what I'm supposed to do 3 hours from now, but I can remember a quote from when I was 16. So I mean, I'm probably pretty good at, like, I'm the what is there was a new show that just came back up that I'm the least, I don't know. Anyway, yeah, I would be voted off the island in a hurry.
Yeah, well, it could become handy at some point, remembering everything.
Well, yeah, I can't remember the important thing. I can remember useless trivia, but I can't remember.
Okay, then you're in trouble, exactly the same as every other man in the world.
I got married on January 2nd, so I can remember when my anniversary was.
Make sure you don't forget that one. All right, Doug. So look, it's been awesome having you here, and I look forward to further interviews and connection. Thanks to Andrea, Crystal, and everyone else that's been watching. And look, guys, stop these little boys in your head and become unstoppable.
Punch it in the face. Tell Simon to go get in a timeout.
Awesome. Thanks, Doug.
Thanks, Carlos.
Bye.